I make it appear like it's magic, but I had especially for like my like new product lines every single time, I have like a backlog of like 2 weeks almost of stuff just in case.
Right.
So,
Yeah, see, yeah.
but you got to also realize when you're generating products, you don't have time to draw fun full art pieces anymore, and I've been craving it so bad.
Yeah. There's a question real quick.
Yeah, can I
In
answer
Proxy
it?
Stage. Yeah. Well, let's. Do you want to read it too?
Yeah, sure. Kochi Quibble asks, I've been thinking about starting commissions lately to start making money early, but I'm not sure if anyone would like to look at my art considering it is not good. Does quality need to be good to be able to sell or to make some money?
They also asked a secondary question.
Where?
In oh no, oh no, sorry, that's Star Slinger also asked a question.
We'll answer
Proxy
Star
Stage.
Slingers after this.
Okay.
Singer.
Singer.
Singer? Slinger?
Singer.
Singer. Star Singer.
Hashling Slasher.
Hashling Slasher. Kochi, don't say your art's bad. Especially not on Twitter and stuff, because then people will start to believe you that your art is bad. It's probably not that bad. You're probably a new artist and you're still learning things. To start making money on my artwork, I started with Your Character Hears. They're called YCHs. You draw a base pony or a base human or a base furry, and you say, hey, I'll put your character into the sketch if you want. And you charge people a minimum price, but you do multiple of them of the same Your Character Here. For example, let me see if I can open one really quick. You start with Your Character Here's. There are a couple of websites you can go on to post them. Where you would get eyes you wouldn't normally get eyes like on your social media, because people check these Your Character Here websites daily and they want Your Character Here's of their characters, and a lot of people sell their Your Character Here's on these websites for super cheap, and that's why people linger on the website and they're like, ooh, I need art, ooh, give me art. So that might be something to look into. Another thing goes along with what we were just talking about, posting daily on your social media and retweeting artists to try and gauge interest. You can retweet your friend's art, and then your friends will retweet your art, and it's just we're all supporting each other in this art world, because art is not a normal job. We need to support each other. But yeah, here's a Your Character I did multiple of them. Here they're little bats. I don't know if you'll be able to see them because Twisted's hogging.
I can probably swap to. Can I swap to your screen?
Hogging? I'm sorry.
Hogging, yeah. It's okay though. But these are two bats. I did 80s. I edited the same artwork. I don't know why Zoom.
There it goes. Okay, yeah, I can zoom in on yours. There it goes.
Okay.
Well, I just stopped streaming mine.
Oh, okay.
You can start streaming again after this. I just wanted to show, like, this is Your Character Here that I did. I did 8 of them. Zoom keeps kicking me, so I don't know what you guys are missing. Do you hear me go, ah, every time Zoom quits?
No.
A little
okay,
bit.
Cool.
Sometimes it cuts out a little.
Okay, because that's what
just
I'm doing.
The
I'm
cut
like,
off screen.
But I posted this on Twitter. I was like, hey, I'll do these for $20 and I'll edit your character and do it. And they were like, heck yeah. So I sold 8 of them. I still had interest. I was just burning out, so I stopped. But try that, and draw stuff that you like, and it really helps to draw canon characters to get your artwork out there, because people love like Fluttershy, or people just have their love for their characters that they are standing. So try that. You never know. So yeah, don't call your art bad online. Everybody, stop it.
I think my input will actually circle to Star Singers also, which will also go back to answering Kochi Quibbles as well. In terms of like starting commissions to make money. Star Singer here says, I don't usually do commissions or be a vendor, but what's the base price that I should start with first? I was figuring somewhere between $10 to $15. My advice, and what seems to be the general advice for artists and vendors as a whole, is charge yourself hourly. And how much do you want to be worth hourly? So for general happenstance, you probably should never be charging yourself less than like $10 an hour. You know, what's
I would say start at 20 because you're making one of a kind pieces. But if you're more comfortable
Right.
starting at $10 an hour, that's 100% okay. Just as long as you don't stay at that forever. There are people that I know who have been drawing for 4 years and they're still at $10 an hour. I'm like, why? Stop.
Well, I do a your character here headshot base for $10, but it's half a pony, you know, it's a head base. So, you know,
Right.
it's if you're doing a your character here, you know, a lot of people will do them on the cheaper side, you know, but can you do it in an hour? Can you do it for $10? You know, if not, then maybe you should be charging more. Like Roof, yours are $20. You know, some people I've seen doing your character here's for way more than that.
Right.
Don't think that just because you're new and just because, you know, you don't do it often that you have to charge like $1 for your art. Yeah, I actually just saw a thread. I was reading a thread on Twitter which was like it was like what's the worst price you've ever sold something at, and the two worst things that I saw was a conversation thread in that thread about how people were selling art on DeviantArt for like 40 points, you know, like the point system where it's like a penny, you know, and they were like, I didn't understand how the point system worked, so I didn't know that I was, you know, drawing art for like a equivalent of like 5 cents that took me like 2 hours. And then that somebody sold like a full custom made fursuit head for like $40.
Oh gosh.
So, you know, yeah, the heartburn. You know, I think that DeviantArt gave a very unfortunate, unrealistic expectation of pricing.
Just messed it all up.
So if you really want to know what you should be charging, look to artists that you look up to and look at their commission sheet, and you can always ask, you know, people like me or Roof or Twister or Techie, you know, what our opinions are for what your pricing should be. Don't be afraid to ask. The worst thing somebody will say to you is no or not talk to you. The best, you get some really good advice, you know, so don't be afraid to talk to other artists.
That's my Discord. I'll put it at the bottom of my screen. Add me, ask questions. I'm here to help. I was helped by a lot of artists when I first started out, and I'm here to return the favor. Mm-hmm. Just as a general, I charge $20 for those your character here's because they take me 30 minutes. So I try and charge at least $40 per hour for me. It's a little bit higher because I can kick them out quickly. If I was taking longer to draw, I would charge a less amount so that my end piece of art would still end up at 40. But when I say I'm charging 40 and I can kick it out in an hour and people go, whoa, that was quick. Was it really worth $40? You go, yeah, I have 9 years of experience behind me. I've been drawing for 9 years. I've done over 200 commissions. Yes, it's worth it. So
yeah, you're not paying. People aren't paying you for your time. People are paying you for your style of art and your experience. So if somebody wants to give you an attitude for, you know, just being you, when they came to you to commission you because they liked your art, and then they want to give you a problem for, you know, how much you were charging based on the speed at which you drew it, then, you know, that's not your fault, you know. Like, you know, Roof can draw really quickly. Some other artists can draw really quickly, but myself, I've been drawing for quite a long time, but not regularly. And I know some other artists too are slow, you know, especially if you're doing like traditional commissions, you know, you have to be careful. So you can't judge the piece based on like time alone, you know, but you should charge yourself a fair hourly wage, you know, because this is a job, you know. You wouldn't go to work at McDonald's for $4 an hour, you know, or 50 cents an hour. So, you know, don't feel like you have to work at that just because, you know, you're new. But maybe you won't get commissions right away, you know, especially if you are a new artist. That's why you have to practice and draw regularly and work on the things that you want to make to sell.
Right. Sorry, I don't know why Zoom is doing this to me. I'm tired.
You know, like, can I also add another thing to the commission thing?
Yeah.
Don't undercharge yourself. especially at conventions, because at
Oh.
BronyCon, I realized that I had underpriced my badge commissions.
Oh,
I
yeah.
kept getting commissions. I would come back to the hotel every night and finish them, and I would be up until like 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Gosh.
was just like, maybe it wasn't worth it to like charge them at the cheaper price, because I haven't done badges in like 6 years, and I was like, oh, what do people charge nowadays? Like $30-$40? No, it was way underpriced.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
I'll always do research on the type of commission you're doing. If you're doing acrylic badges, go look at what other people are charging for acrylic badges, because if they're making sales, you'll make sales. Doesn't matter your art quality, I promise.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah. And the thing is, most people, even if the art is like very different or in lower skill level because of their being a beginner, most people don't care. They just want to collect the favorite character they have.
Mhm.
My bag of just every person in the fandom's rarity merch, everyone's, like, literally, it's great.
Mine too. Yeah, mine's in there. I've seen it.
It's great.
Or it's BB's button. Something from Roof and Beeb is in that bag. So
Yeah. We have another question.
sure.
Do we want yeah, I guess. So this question here is from FTS57. It says, I'm in no way talented enough for art, but I'm an author. What steps would I have to take to become a vendor for next year selling books? So I can chime in on this because I print and sell books at conventions for fandom authors in the fandom here. So really it's going to be, is your work finished, first of all. Once your work is finished, you need to have an editor go over it and edit it out. Any changes need to be made. It needs to essentially be cut and ready to go. You've done all your editing, you're finished, etc. From there, unfortunately, printing books is a very big expense. Most printing companies will require a large minimum order quantity for your books, and the books can range pretty expensive depending on what kind of book that you're getting. Is it hardcover, softcover, the size of it, the length, etc. For instance, I sell some small books, that cost, anywhere from like $15 to $20 each to make. And then on the top side, I sell a 9-book volume of Project Horizons, Fallout Equestria, that costs $365, and I make nothing on it because I don't upcharge on that because it's already so expensive to the customer that I feel bad. So at that point, you're not going to make any money, and you still have to pay taxes, which we'll also get to taxes at some point. So you have to figure out what's worth it to you,
Right.
first of all. But books are on the upper tier of expense. It can be hard to do it, but it's doable. It is possible. There are, people who do print the books, like myself. Fiora the Tank Girl prints the book as well. There's other projects that do it. So do your research, see what you're able to afford.
I might add.
Oh, there goes Roof again.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
All right. Oh, okay, good.
Okay. I might add to that. I've seen people go to conventions just to advertise, where they don't have a whole lot of physical product to sell. They are just sitting at a table and they have lots of pretty banners with pretty artwork with the name of your book, and the characters all drawn out all pretty. Hire an artist and have them do a banner and print 2 of those banners and have them on either side of your table and have a drop screen behind you with artwork on that too. And business cards, and maybe have a screen on your table with a little bit of text from your book. If you don't want to print books, that's a way to do it, because you can always lead people to a site to download them. It might be a lot easier for people to just do digital downloads of your book. You don't always have to have like a ton of merchandise to like go and sell at a convention.
Yeah.
There are charities that go who just have like little stickers and buttons on their table, and it might be easier instead of jumping right into producing books, which I've heard is just horrible.
Yeah.
Instead of just jumping right into books, you can just like start with something like that, just in that area. It might be more worth your time and something like that, you know.
Well, I guess the other thing too is that this is going to be something that we touch on like as we go, but you know, just making one product, like let's say the books, you're not just going to be making one product. First of all, you're going to have to make those business cards, those banners, you know, you're going to have to make the expenses for conventions, you're going to have to make the expenses for fees and taxes, you know, you have to pay income tax, you have to pay sales tax, you know, you have to pay business expenses based on, you know, are you registering as an LLC or a sole proprietorship. There's so much that goes into things, you know, so that's kind of why projects like, you know, me with the Traveling Pony Museum, that's why I exist, because I front all the costs for vendors and artists to make merchandise for them and sell them, and I take on all the costs of going to conventions and all that stuff, because I know how hard it was at the beginning. A lot of people couldn't do that. They couldn't go to conventions. They weren't able to make merchandise, and so that's why I financed it and put it all together for them. That's a good way to get started, for instance, you know, running through a project like mine, because then you can not only gauge, you know, what sells, but you start getting money without really taking the majority of the risk. You know, but again, it's doing your research and figuring out. It's never going to just be the one thing that you want to sell when you start out. You have to figure out how you want to set up your booth and all of that stuff. And somebody, Switchpone 3 here just also added, would it be a good idea to sell merch that isn't MLP related along with your MLP merch? Of course, we all do it.
Yeah.
The MLP fandom.
I think I'm a prime example of that, because
Yeah,
it's just half My Little Pony stuff and then half gaming and anime stuff.
Yep.
I think it just circles back to draw what you like from the
Mhm.
beginning of the panel. Is don't, you know, draw whatever you want, you know, and go to cons and have fun.
Yeah.
Step 1.
Fun, make
Like,
money too.
yeah.
Step 2, make money.
Like, I seriously just wanted an Inuyasha pin, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make one, and now I have them.
Yeah, do it. I think my first piece of non-MLP art is an enamel pin that says "In dog years, I'm dead."
Yep.
Because I just wanted to make it so badly. I was like, I'm gonna make this, and now I have enough furry merchandise to just do furry cons. And I sell. You know what? At the start of a furry con, I was like wandering around. It was my first furry con ever. I was wandering around, and I was like, I asked BB over and over again. I was like, should I put my pony stuff up? Because we brought it. I was like, should I put it up? Should we put it up? Is it gonna work? And I was like, I really shouldn't. So I didn't the first day. And then at the end of the day, I was like, yeah, I was talking to somebody across from me who is now one of my close friends. Her name is Truffle. I was like, yeah, I almost put up pony stuff. I'm sure that would have gone very poorly. And she was like, dude, no, put up your pony stuff. What are you doing? I was like, what? And we put it up and we sold dockies of Vinyl Scratch and, you know, Tempest, and so always, even if you don't have it hung up, put it in a binder, you know, just have it on display somewhere so people can poke around and find it, you know. So don't ever not put merchandise outside, because that's a sale you might be missing. So
yeah. One of the next questions is about booth layout. So why don't we touch on everyone's first table?
Oh, okay. Let me pull that page.
Well, I guess we should touch on actually applying to cons first, because that's probably a quicker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Applying to con hard. Taxes hard. Traveling to con hard.
Yeah, so I guess circling back, yeah, everything hard, life hard. But you know what? What you should probably do, it circles back to social media. Follow the conventions you want to go to and look for when they have applications open. Applications are typically straightforward, right? You guys. Oh, Roof?
Oh,
Hi.
What were you saying?
Sorry. I just went ooh because I was gonna pull up my spreadsheet. Keep going, I'll do that, and then I will.
Applying to conventions, you guys find pretty straightforward, right? It wasn't like ever too complicated.
There are some conventions that are a little bit trickier than others, but you know, what can you do? Hopefully this doesn't have anything scary on it. Okay. This is my big fat spreadsheet. Every
Yeah.
con that I'm interested in, I write on this spreadsheet. I write when their applications open. I write where they are, what kind of convention they are. I actually don't think I used to color code it furry and brony, but I don't think I do that anymore because I don't think I can. But this is, and then I have a column where I paid for my table. I have a column for if I paid for a hotel, who we're staying with. Techie's on this sheet right there. But every convention, I see a convention, I write the name down. I don't even care if it's 40 days down across. I don't care if it's in Canada. I write it down. And then I apply. I apply to every single convention. Because you know, if you don't apply, you're not gonna. I applied to every single furry convention last year. I think every single one. I got into 2. We're working on it. Yeah. But you know, just write it down. I follow all of these people on Twitter. I follow all of the conventions on Twitter, and the spreadsheets really helped me. BB has access to the spreadsheet too, so when he applies to something, he writes it down, and you know, it's really helpful. It's a big scary spreadsheet, but it's not that scary. So
Yeah, sidebar to that. Doing conventions as a vendor, it takes a lot of dedication. It's not I don't want to say it's not fun, but like the stress of like getting everything together right before the con, it's not fun.
That's called con prep.
Con prep is just no. But don't be discouraged if you don't get into the first couple of conventions you apply for. That's why when Ruth says apply for all of them, literally apply for all of them, because worst case they say no, but there's a good chance that if you apply for all of them, at least 1 or 2 of them or more will actually say yes.
And because I was accepted to that first FurryCon, it was the FurryCon that was in the Wisconsin Dells, Aquatifer. Because I applied to Aquatifer, I made friends with a lot of people and I got more known, and I was accepted to more FurryCons the next year. So
networking.
Yeah, you just gotta get out there and you know, just try, apply to everything you think you can make it to, and you know, even though like Aquatifer was not a great profit, I don't think I actually broke even at Aquatifer, but because I went, I am able to vend at more conventions because people know who I am and they met me and they like me and they like BB, and you know, so it's just something you gotta go do. You gotta go take the bullet of not breaking even to kind of network. But if you don't do that, like don't do that for 5 conventions in a row. Don't not break even.
Yeah,
like, that's horrible.
yeah.
But
it could happen. You know, you could end up making merch and it doesn't sell. It can
does
happen.
I have a story about merchandise that doesn't sell if we want to touch on that later. So
Yeah, so you know, just there are risks involved. It circles back to just being informed and doing your research before you start.
Yeah. Con's scary. Do you have anything on that, Techie? Applying for cons and stuff?
So I do it in a more chaotic fashion.
Okay.
I'm usually very organized. I have like a notebook, and then I have a agenda that I write down every single convention. I write down every weekend, everything that I need to know for applications and stuff in the notes. And then I fill out the whole agenda for a year. And then the next year I look back on it and see, hey, this convention was that weekend. I'm going to put in my agenda that applications are around this time so that I know exactly when applications might go up, so that I can plan ahead of time. But I have a dry erase board. And I write down all the conventions I want to go to in the year, all the way down the end. And then I write down the status of when apps are open, if I applied, or if I've gotten accepted or whatnot on the board. This year I had to cross out every single one of those.
The only one that's not canceled for me is the one that everybody doesn't like, the PonyCon. I guess nobody doesn't like them, but the PonyCon that's in Baltimore or close to
Yeah.
Ocean City.
Ocean City.
And Cider Fest. Cider Fest is almost still happening.
Oh god.
So
Mm.
those two are the only two that haven't canceled for me yet. MFF canceled, which was sad, but you know, hoping.
Yeah, all of our cons over here canceled too. So
Bummer.
yeah.
Gosh.
So
Dark Angel has a question about the banners. Honestly, you can get banners made at Staples if you'd like. Otherwise, Roof, where do you get yours done? If she's still here. Hello?
Oh,
Did it kick me?
oh, she's coming back. Kicked her again. Well, there were some other questions too, so we'll circle to them.
Okay.
But yeah, the banners. Roof, are you back?
Yes.
Okay. Where did you get your banners made? We have a question about banners.
I made them. I used to work in a print shop in Las Vegas. Sadly, none of my family. Well, I worked there for 4 years, and then I went into vending in 2018, and I've been vending since. It's my full-time job now. I had family members that still worked at that sign shop, so I could go in and I could make banners. And I made banners for Twisted Sketch, and I made banners for probably 10 other vendors because I know they're expensive. And I've just always been able to produce them. And I literally, I sit in the shop and I print it out and I cut it and I fold it and I grommet it and I, and that's why I'm able to produce high quality, long, big banners without having any expense. But I'm not able to do that anymore. So when I do find a place that sells banners for good, there's one place that does banners online that is like called, a lot of vendors use it. Somebody help me.
Is it Vistaprint?
Vistaprint, maybe?
Vistaprint was what I used to use. There's another company that does it now that I use. I just can't even remember because it's been so long since I've ordered these banners.
And Vistaprint is terrible. Their quality is horrible, and the banners aren't good. But you need to put something on the front of your table. So Vistaprint is the best you can do, and you can read the text. It's not like blurry or anything. If you can read the text and you have your logo on there, it's good enough. Like, you don't have to have a high quality, super durable, banner with grommets and all that garbage. If you just need to have something on the front of your table. So when people take a picture or see you in the back of a video and you have a cute docky and they're like, oh, I wish I knew who that was, you have a banner on the front of your table with your name all big, So it doesn't matter what quality banner you have. Of course, as you get more experienced, you're going to want a better banner and you're going to want your table to look nicer. But you really don't need it when you're starting. So you just need to have your name somewhere up front. So if you're gonna buy a $20 banner from Vistaprint, do it. More power to you. So
yeah.
What I've seen, Vistaprint seems to be the lowest tier.
Right.
If you want something that's cheap, that's a little bit better. I got like my second ever banner from like Banners on the Cheap, on like just looking up cheap banners for vinyl banners. They have options where they can like give you clips for your banner to like secure to the table and everything. So they're a really good one-stop shop for everything. But it's Banners on the Cheap. I get my banners now through a friend of mine. You can actually find her through Artist Alley Network International. She runs the shop Bite Size Treasure. She's one of the mods. Yeah, she's super nice.
And don't be afraid to look around locally, because there's a couple places here that do banners and stuff, like vinyl banners. So don't be afraid to like look around your town and be like, yeah, let's support this small business over here or whatever.
Especially now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have a few other questions, so I just want to circle back to.
Yeah.
Baja Griffin asks, are there any tips for booth layout when you have a lot of products in a small amount of space? The last show I did, we were so squished that we didn't have room for some of our merch.
Build tall.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Inky, do you want to go?
Well, I was gonna say I'm probably the queen of squishing shit into a booth.
Yeah, you really, yeah, and it looks good too.
Yeah, building up, making displays. Like I have a custom bookcase, I have a custom mousepad display rack, I have a custom thing for blankets, I have custom areas, I add extra tables. I bring so much stuff to cons, it's absolutely ridiculous. But I think, let's roll it back and think about like a real table, probably a one booth, whatever. It's going to be building up, using the space to your sides if you have any, the space behind you, and maybe making a table book for some of your stuff, because sometimes you just will not have space to display something nicely, so you may just want to advertise some stuff in a table book.
Right.
So
Like I wouldn't.
they have a print stand and grid cubes in relation to that question.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen Baja's set up.
Yeah.
Like if you have like 40 dockies, I wouldn't try and hang them all on your table.
No.
There are ways to do it. You could do it behind you, and you could use, I've seen people use dockies as a tablecloth, and then they put all of their stuff over top. It just makes it busier, but you could do it. You could display 40 dockies, but it's like not the best. I have a photo. It's not sending, just kidding. I have a photo of the last booth I did. Instead of putting stuff set back on my table, I literally made a grid wall and I pushed it to the edge of the table. And then I made grid walls on either side and I pushed those to the edge of the table, so that my table was a big giant like building, and I just hung stuff on the outside of it all over. The only downside to that is you can't see customers coming. I think that's pretty much the only downside. We had a little hole, maybe like a.
Oh, she died.
No.
Roof. Oh yeah, you're still here.
But like, it's. I realize that I have too much merchandise. I'm cutting down. I'm gonna do a more focused group, because I do this thing where I'm excited about a piece of merchandise, so I make one of it. So I have Luna washi tape. I don't have any other washi tape other than Luna. So what's the point? So I'm gonna start cutting down. I'm gonna have 5 or 6 items that I just do, like dockies, pins, badges, and whatever. Instead of making like one button and one lanyard and one of this and one of that, because it makes it harder to display the stuff.
Yeah.
Roof, I sent some photos into the group. I can't stream the photos because I'm hosting the call. If you wouldn't mind pulling some photos of my booth up.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me do that. But like, I think the best advice I can do or that was said for that is definitely the binder that you put all of your merchandise in. I don't just put dockies.
It's all nice and organized.
I put badges and I put stickers, and there was a point where I was selling adoptables at a convention and I put them in that little binder. So really,
touching on that, don't be afraid to get creative. Like, for example, I have a button tower. If you've ever seen my table, you've probably seen it. My button tower literally is made out of a earring display from like Michael's. It's made out of 3. Originally it was made out of 2. I literally took some cardboard, put felt on it, hot glued it to the back, and then hot glued it to that thing. And it sits on a cake turntable that I've spray painted the color that I wanted. And then I put lights, like little like fairy lights, all over it, and the power source is stuck up in the middle of it. So
a huge part of being a vendor is being creative.
Yes.
You have to be creative to set up your table. Like, there are points where BB and I have gone to a convention and we have no idea how we're gonna set up our table. But like on the 9-hour drive up to the con, I was like, that would be cool in my head. And then I'm like, yeah, BB, help me build this. And he's like, what? Aren't we doing the table we always do? I'm like, nah, let's try something new. And then we're like up till 1 a.m. building this new table idea that I had, and then we try it, and then it doesn't work, and we try something else. It's just like a huge, big, creative hardship. So
Yeah, I sent Roof some pictures of my last booth from the final BronyCon. I have a photo of one of the first BronyCons. I have to find it. I have to dig it up. But my booth looks like I slapped 2 prints onto a table. I didn't have a banner. I had nothing. So, you know, you grow and you figure out what you need, and you kind of just make it up as you go. You
You really do.
you just kind of go, oh, I want to add X to my table. Like me, I want to add 40 mousepad designs in one go. Well, I better either find a table space, which I did in this photo here, or I built a custom mousepad display rack for
Yeah.
Ciderfest. It's like, do you want to have it on your table? You better start jerry rigging
Figure it
something,
out.
and you
Yep.
figure it out, and it's kind of ridiculous. And you talk and you look at what other vendors do. You're like peering down the aisles, and you're like, oh, they have
That's a good
20
idea.
jockeys hung out. That's a good idea. I'm gonna write that down, go home, and like try and build it. And you're like,
Oh, BB and I have an idea channel in Discord where it's just him and I, and we post pictures of booths we like,
Yeah.
and we go, wow, I really like this aspect of this booth, just write it down. And if you try a new setup during a convention, pay attention. Pay attention to people, what people are looking at, what people miss. Because I had a piece of yarn strung in between two towers, and there were badges on it. Everybody didn't see it. Like it was just like blind to the bronies. Like nobody could
Yeah.
see it.
Yes.
So just pay attention.
So that's actually a rule of thumb in like retail too. If it's not at the eye line of most of your customers, they are not gonna freaking see it.
Nope. And bronies look down.
Yeah.
Not to stereotype, but people at conventions look down at your table.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't look up. Unless there's a
can't
big
tell
giant
you.
wall of dockies. So
Well, I mean, even with that, like I have my print wall. I can't tell you how many times people just won't even look at it. Like
Yeah.
people walked up to my booth at this booth here at BronyCon, and they were like, "Do you have shirts or prints?" And
do I?
Yeah.
I mean, it's well, first of all, to give credit, BronyCon was insanely busy, so there were tons of people in front of the booth.
Yeah.
So take that into account. But a lot of people won't look up, so that's where cool, flashy stuff comes. People put lights up. People put like bright colors up. It's stuff that you pick up and learn as you kind of just have experience, and you see what other
Yep.
people are doing.
Right.
Don't be afraid to get freaking battery power lights. It's a rule of thumb. Humans like shiny shit.
Yes.
Are you laughing because I'm crashing over and over again?
Yeah.
Oh.
Keep going on your battery powered lights, Missy. Don't laugh at me.
But no, like, if you can make your display colorful or shiny or just, like, hello, I am here, then you're gonna attract more attention just because humans are drawn to shiny and or colorful things.
Right.
I'm going to post some of the questions that we missed in our Discord channel.
Okay. Yeah.
Because there are a couple of good ones.
Okay. Which one do you want to do next?
Let's do are there any legal issues with selling fan art or pony merchandise from DJ David? Yes, 100%.
Yep.
Just to touch on that, it depends on how big it gets. For example, there was a Kickstarter for Ita bags that was Animal Crossing themed.
Yeah.
If it hadn't gotten as big as it was, I feel like they would have no issues. But it got up to like maybe $200,000, and then Nintendo was like, "That's too much for my comfort," and told them to take it down.
I slightly disagree with you on that because I know that Nintendo will take down just about anything if they find it.
Oh, I've never had the Nintendo issue.
I was gonna say Nintendo's kind of that one and Sanrio. Be careful.
There's a list of things that you probably should avoid drawing. It's from companies like Disney, Sanrio, even Nintendo and stuff that will come after you and give you a DCMA takedown notice, which is like a legal, like, hey, you better stop selling my characters. Fan art is kind of a legal gray line, so unfortunately, you could spend all your time drawing really cool fan art and then never be able to sell it because you'll get these takedown notices. So
yeah.
definitely, again, do your research, look up what you really shouldn't. You can draw it for fun. You can obviously draw for fun and whatever, but there's a lot of companies that will not allow you to sell it.
We are so lucky that Hasbro is so lax about it, because at any moment they could tell us all to stop and we would have to. Like there's we are not safe in the My Little Pony area, but
right.
we are lucky enough that that the creator of the show comes to cons and hangs out, and just I've heard things about, like, for example, Toblerone. Toblerone is a brand that doesn't let you sell anything with the word Toblerone on it. Like you can't. So, like it's weird that I know that, but like there's so many. Yeah, there's just you just have to do your research on, like, if artists were given trouble about this certain topic or fan art that they were drawing before you start drawing it, because you don't want to put your time and effort into a piece of merchandise if you can't sell it.
Right.
The Toblerone fiasco is hilarious because I think a lot of us only found out about that coincidence because of Homestuck and because of Neo Yokio, and I'm just like, I was just watching people make like Kaz like holding a Toblerone and they get C and D, and I'm like, what?
So it's just like it's a very, you just have to do your research.
Right.
So
fan art is unfortunately a gray line. It's always going to be better to draw your own original art, but original art is hard.
It doesn't sell.
And fan art is fun. Original art totally sells. It's just going to depend on the market. I only buy original art.
Original art like an original painting of Pinkie Pie, or original art like an original painting of an OC?
I buy original OC and like just original art in general. Like if people will make like their own stuff, it's not saying that I don't have pony stuff, but I pretty much will only buy, like me personally will buy stuff of my own characters and stuff. That's probably because I have the whole museum in my house and I just have to look at canon characters all the time. So I'm just like,
that is a huge touching point we should touch on, like people drawing for people's OCs at conventions. We should definitely touch on that at some point. I don't know how much time we have, but
I think we've got like another hour. I think we have another half hour. So we have a bunch of stuff to still talk on. Especially some of the upper stuff like the finances and tax.
Somebody did ask a very good question about the biggest expense on going to a convention to sell merchandise.
Oh God.
That's your flight and your hotel and your table.
It's your biggest expenses are going to be the things that will not make you money back. So your table, your cost of travel, your badges, your food.
So So when we talk about breaking even, it means say I paid $100 for a table, $200 for my flight, and then $100 in food and whatever else, my badges. That's $400. In order to break even at this convention, need to sell at least $401. That's breaking even when you add up all of your costs to attend the event, flights, travel, whatever it is, and then breaking even. Ideally, you wouldn't want to just break even at every convention. You're going to want to make more.
Sidebar to that, Southwest Airlines as a vendor is your best friend. They may be a little bit more expensive, like... Huh?
The extra suitcases.
Yes.
The extra suitcases.
Yeah. So they may be a little more expensive, like in the ticket price itself sometimes, but the fact that like you get 2 checked bags and with the weight limit of 50 pounds, that's 100 pounds just under the plane. And then you also get your carry-on, which doesn't have a weight limit that you can stuff in the top as long as it's the right size. And then you can also bring like a backpack or something. I've had so many times where I stuffed all 3 of like my suitcases and like just had like some clothes in a backpack to come to the con to make sure that I had everything that I needed. And on that note, also only bring what you absolutely need. Like do a setup at home. See like what works, what doesn't. Maybe bring like a couple extra pieces if you have, like, say for example, those grid cubes. Bring a couple extra pieces.
Mhm.
But overall, don't bring like everything in the kitchen sink. Otherwise, you're just gonna hate your life.
I'm one of those
Yeah.
people.
Pinky.
Let me clarify something to you guys. Cause that was the picture of my BronyCon booth. You guys all saw me at BronyCon.
Yeah.
I brought 7,000 pounds of merchandise to BronyCon.
God. Holy cow. You know what? At least you brought enough not to sell out, because I sold out on the first day. I only brought like 20 of everything, and I was like, well, I should have brought more.
I sold 600 books in the first day.
Wow.
I brought my printer, and I brought all of the stuff I needed to make stuff in the hotel room just in case for certain stuff. And I ordered twice as much as I normally would for keychains and buttons, and we brought the button maker, and I was just like, it was so crazy.
My print cute. Oh, sorry.
We had button trays with the buttons in it. We gave up trying to restock stuff while we were sitting there at the table because people just coming over to talk and say hi, and it was so overwhelming because it was like the first time like I had ever like gotten to talk to people outside of my first BronyCon, which was 2018, and I was like, is this what it's like? Is this what pony cons are like? Why didn't I go to PonyCon sooner? Why was I shamed so much and felt so bad? I'm like, this is amazing. And I was just like that overwhelming feeling of, oh no, but it's this BronyCon, it's over now. And I'm like sad, but you know.
Yeah, I started with the original Bronies NYC group that became BronyCon because I live right outside of New York City, and it was really interesting to see it go from like, 50 people to a few hundred at meetups to a few thousand to 15,000, and it was crazy. But yeah, no, I run prints on demand, and my print queue at BronyCon was like 5 hours to get a print.
Yeah.
It was crazy. There was nothing like it. So we're all talking about BronyCon. Let's just clarify that BronyCon, the final BronyCon, is absolutely not like regular conventions, and it should not be used as the standard. Like, I definitely don't bring 7,000 pounds of merch to Ponyville Cider Fest, So like this is not what you should use as a standard. It was a fluke, an awesome fluke,
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was the best.
But it's not the standard. The standard is probably less than half of what we're talking about. So don't worry about needing all this stuff. But yeah, Southwest Airlines, which is what we were originally talking about, is the best because you can bring all this stuff on a plane for cheap.
Yeah, Southwest.
We just derailed.
Anything. The Southwest is the only thing that I fly because you get 2 free freaking bags. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Southwest.
Thank you, Southwest. The last Southwest Airlines flight I was on, the airline pilots, not the pilot, the attendants had us all turn off the cabin lights and then turn on all the lights above us, and we sang happy birthday to somebody and then pushed the lights out as we were blowing out the candles. So Southwest is great, by the way. They are hashtag meme lords so hard, and they're great. Every flight has been so fun. Every flight has been fun.
One of my flights back from Otakon, they were just like the one guy who was just like telling us like the flight rule thing, he was like singing it half the time, and I'm just like, I freaking love this. This is the best time.
My flight back from BabsCon was getting on a flight at night to the attendant with a one of those like old school spinning rave balls with all the cabin lights off, so it was just like a party. It was great.
And I can't wait to fly again.
Yeah. Can't wait to see all you guys again.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I miss you guys.
Have we talked about like driving as opposed to flying? I don't know. There's a question I posted in our chat as well, so we should probably answer that before we like derail to stuff that I want to talk about, like exclusive items. So
I only recently started flying. I have driven to 35 conventions in the last 8 years, completely, just by car only, and I only flew to the last like 2 or 3 cons last year. Um, just because I had to, because I didn't have a driving partner. I usually drive with at least one other person. Because I do the long hauls. I've driven from New York to Seattle for Everfree Northwest. So I will do it. I do prefer driving. It's fun, and sometimes it's cheaper, especially if you're going to bring a helper with you.
Yep.
But there's a lot of risks depending on how far you're going. There's also parking costs. There's tolls. Leaving New York for me is $80 in tolls to get to BronyCon, and then I had to pay like $100 in parking. So it's not fun.
Oh, parking sucks.
Do your research,
Right. Okay. So the only reason that I drive is because everything is within. Also.
Start over, Roof.
Okay. The reason that I drive is because everything is within 9 hours. Our furthest convention is HarmonyCon. I think it's maybe like 12 hours. It's an exception because we go for our birthdays. But the main reason why I drive is because I have a booth partner, and he's also selling merchandise, and we can trade off driving. We can usually make a 9-hour drive in one day with no stopping, which is great. And we have time to set up our table once we get there. Driving is just driving as opposed to flying. It's just you don't have to worry about like your grid weighing too much, because grid is heavy, and packing it into suitcases is hard. There are times where vendors will order grid to the hotel, have it shipped to the hotel, which you can do with any merchandise, and then they pick it up from the hotel front desk, and then they just leave it at the end of the convention. That's how I actually got all of my grid. I've just taken it from like Waffles. Waffles will just and I'll just take it because that's that's it. But it's
some hotels do charge you for packages too.
Right. Yeah. And I've had that happen too, which is very strange to me. But it's just something you have to be willing to do. Are you comfortable driving 9 hours? Do you have somebody you can trade off with? Or do you are you comfortable paying gas? My car you have to pay for premium gas. And it's just like it's a big, and are you comfortable paying for parking? Places like TrotCon, no parking. Like you don't have to pay parking fees, which is phenomenal. I love TrotCon. Drive to TrotCon.
And then there's BronyCon.
And BronyCon, where I paid, I think, $150 worth of parking. And I was like, this is great. Thanks, BronyCon, for taking a lot of my money. It just depends. You just have to do your research. I think, like, Winnie City charges parking, but it's not nearly as bad. And
yeah, they charge, I think it's like $35 a night.
Yeah.
BronyCon was
50 or something stupid. So you just have to do your research. Are you willing to... There are a lot of expenses that come with driving that you wouldn't normally think about. And if you just want a one step, one payment, easy thing, it's the airport, where you have to worry about, are they going to confiscate your button maker because they don't know what it is and it's scary looking, or actually I put it in my carry-on because it's heavy, and they don't weigh your carry-ons. But I went through security, and they were like, "What the fuck is this?" And I'm like, "That's a button maker," and they thought I meant buttons for shirts. They go, "Oh, you make buttons with these? Wow!" And I was just like, "Yep." And then they let me go. So it's just
I flew. Well, I guess it was the first con I flew to, because I wasn't thinking about it because I never fly. I packed my carry-on full of paper and these acrylic light-up displays I have, which have all these wires. So when it went through airport security at JFK, it looked like a bomb. And the guy at the scanner just like turns around slowly. It looks at me, and I look at this thing that looks 100% like a bomb going through the thing, and I'm like, oh my god. They opened it, and the guy was like looking through it, and he was like flipping through it. He goes, "Is this all My Little Pony merch?" And I was just like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Sweet, my daughter loves My Little Pony." But then I did do it again when I flew out to BabsCon. I did the exact same thing. I put paper in this stupid shit back in the freaking carry-on and went back through JFK. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, they don't the thick stacks of paper and thick stacks of prints look like just black spots in your
Yeah.
suitcase, and they're like, "What the hell is this?" Like I've had that issue where I will bring my commander decks, my magic cards in a little deck box, and they're like, what's this? And I'm like, I'm sorry, open it. It's just a thing. And it's just like it's just things you have to look out for. You have to be like, I was 100% willing to lose my button maker because some fucker didn't know what it was. Like I was 100% like ready to lose it. Thankfully I didn't, thank God. But you know, you just have to be ready for some asshole at the airport to go, I don't know what this is, so it's wrong, and you just don't, you know. So
Yeah, I think most people are gonna be safe from that. Like as long as
Right.
you know, you just. I mean, look, if I can get through JFK International Airport with this, you know, and they did open it and they looked through everything. They really dug it apart. So get to the airport early, cool kids, because I was almost late to both of those flights because I'm an idiot. So, but they did open everything.
Yeah.
And I had to put it all back together because they don't put it back together for you. They just go, here you go. Now it's your problem. So
they shove it in your arms, and you have to waddle to a little bench, and you have to try to put it together. So
you know, my best advice is put everything in clear bags. You know, it makes it easy so they can look at it. I did not do that, so that's my advice to you: everything in a clear bag.
See, this is so good to know because Winnie City was going to be my first fly to convention. I was just like, what do I do? Oh my god. And I already have like flight and like airport anxiety. So it's like it was at a whole nother level. Like months before the con, I was just like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I was just like a panic.
I have never had airport anxiety until I missed my Christmas flight. I missed a flight to go spend Christmas with my family.
No.
Quit.
Anyway. On that same note of like, hey, don't put this in your freaking thing, otherwise they're gonna look through it. I put all of my buttons in my carry-on. They thought it was like coins or something. So I was like, what do you think? I'm a freaking pirate? I've got like 1,000 gold doubloons or something. I don't freaking know. But they were like, yeah, it just looks like a bunch of coins. And I'm like, no, they're buttons. I
Touch
promise.
them, yeah.
I feel like I'm a coin collector.
And it's not like that's illegal to have through there, but they have to like look.
Yeah.
You know, to make sure that you're not, you know, smuggling something in or like you robbed a bank or something. I don't know.
I will take that real quick and go, if you're going in and out of the country, be honest about what you're declaring and bringing. You're probably going to have to pay taxes on it to import it or export it, and it's going to suck. But hey, guess what? Getting deported or not being able to go to your convention sucks more. And I know somebody that's happened to twice, and
Stefan.
Yup.
I wish Stefan was here to talk about it because
Stefan is now
great.
Banned from Canada for a while because it had problems bringing in their vendor items.
Yeah.
And that sucks. That really,
I have not ventured.
Really sucks.
I have not ventured outside of the United States, and I don't think I'm ready to for a little while. So
yeah,
I was going to for Vancouver, and then it didn't line up with me being able to go, unfortunately. But I was like so anxious about it. I was like, oh my god, I have to declare all this stuff, and like, you know. So again, do your research. Be honest.
I heard a rumor. Like Waffles told me this. He's like, honestly, just ship your stuff to the hotel before the convention.
But yeah, my dad was like, you want to go to that Germany con? I have a friend in Germany. You can just ship all of your stuff to him, and he'll ship it to the hotel for you. And I'm like, what? Really? Whoa, okay. So I think shipping might be the best option, but you have to make sure that you can get to your shipments.
You still have to declare it though.
Right.
You still have to write out that it's like
right, but you're not traveling with it, and they can't stop you at the border if you have nothing. So
that's definitely probably easier. But again, it's still, don't lie on your import export.
No, don't lie on anything. Don't lie for taxes. Don't. It's not worth the trouble you can get into.
Do your freaking taxes.
Well, let's talk about finances and taxes.
No, I don't want to.
Yeah. First of all, pay your taxes. So for conventions, as part of applications, you may see on your application that they ask you if you have a tax ID number for the state that you're going to.
This is
Now,
the worst part of conventions.
yeah, this is probably the worst part of conventions. You're essentially if the convention is coolio enough to give you the direct link to the forums or provide the forums for you, then you're probably not going to have to worry too much. You just get the form and you fill it out. If you have to go looking for it, some states they are harder to get to than others. Some have different. They all have different requirements. But the typical thing is that you have to pay your sales tax within 30 days of the end of the event. And you definitely have to pay this. This is sales tax. You have to pay sales tax in your own home state as well. This is not income tax.